Water Buffalo TM is back with another Buff Talk.
3, 2, 1. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Old School Matt here, back with another Buff Talk. I'm here with a good friend of mine. Hasn't been on the show for a little while, but happy to have him, Christian Johnson. What's going on, my friend? How you been? How's everything? Welcome to have you back.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Pretty good.
Yeah. How's life been since we did the last podcast? It's been almost like a year, right? Or maybe a year?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been off for a while, but getting back into it. But yeah, like you recently, your injury you've had recently. So
yeah, we were just talking about before we started the podcast, just catching up because I haven't seen Christian in a while. He's been kind of out of the gym for a little bit, and you're starting to pick back in, right?
Yeah.
How's that been?
I think we talked about it last time, how it was like you got to go through that first few days and then kind of got to get through that week barrier.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks, and then after that, it normally gets you get that momentum going.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get that past that couple weeks mark.
Cool. Yeah. So I've been out of the gym, like you said, with my elbow for a little while. I just started getting back into it maybe 2 weeks ago fully after I elbow and sickness. So it's always it's always a challenge to restart the road to the never ending road.
Yeah.
But it's always a fun challenge to get started again. And once you're in it, you're in it. But we actually kind of have a focus topic we wanted to talk about tonight. And Christian had a good topic about parenting and raising kids in society. And we're not parents yet, obviously. I don't know when I'll be a parent. I'm not sure when you'll be a parent. Yeah. Hopefully I will be a parent one day. I'm assuming you want to have kids too, or you don't know?
Kind of on the fence.
Oh, really? Okay.
Give or take today's, how today's going. Or this
society.
World is, society. But
interesting.
Yeah, I've always wanted one.
I want to have kids.
Yeah.
And you potentially want to have kids, but it'd be interesting just to have a perspective of not parenting before, and then you never know. We can look back on this one day and see, what were our thoughts. But I mean, just kind of lay it out. Like, if you were raising a kid, what would be your number one concern, especially with society nowadays?
I guess how to interact with people that are kind of, I'd say today you get a lot more instigators.
Okay.
So I guess how to teach them how to react to
instigators. Gotcha.
Because, nowadays people are just doing stuff to, just the respect levels are just not there. It's either for videos,
I was
it's
gonna
for
say
content,
go viral.
it's for lack of parenting. So you get a lot more younger generation that kind of likes to poke buttons with people in public. But so I guess I'd have a hard time teaching them oh, this is how you respond to those people, that kind of stuff. But
what middle school did you go to?
I think Emerald Cove.
Oh, we went to the same middle school.
Okay, yeah.
You're what, 2 years in front of me?
I think so. I was 2015.
Okay, no, you're 2 years.
Okay,
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know. Do we talk about going to the same middle school?
Probably.
Yeah,
I can't remember too much.
I went to Emerald Cove too,
Cove, yeah.
Was it like nuts when you were growing up? Did you have a lot of bad influences? I can't really remember, too much, but
I think I don't know. Up until a certain point, I had a lot of anger problems in school.
Okay.
So if it's one of those things where I would try to ignore it, but if kids kept pushing buttons, that's when it would come out, and then that's when it was bad to where it wasn't just a little pushback, it was a big pushback.
Did you get into fights and shit? Or?
Yeah, it was that's where I'm kind of on the fence about I wouldn't know how to teach my own kids how to handle those situations, because I'm not good at them. So, and it's only getting worse as you get more kids that aren't disciplined.
Yep.
So, my youngest brother, he's in high school now. He's a freshman. So I worry about that. I'm I don't know how he is mentally with all that. I don't know if he just it's just words or stuff like that. So that's why I'm worried about having kids. But I've definitely always wanted some. I've always wanted, like, because I come from a big family, so I've always wanted that, like, I want them to have 3 or 4 other siblings to look out for in school or that kind of stuff. But
yeah, I for middle school, I can't think of like crazy things that happen in terms of like outside of the normal things you would expect out of kids, like I don't know, kids making out on the bus or something.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Some fights.
Little fights after the bus stop.
But like, so for example, I have a friend of mine who has his girlfriend is a teacher, and he was telling me, and she actually teaches elementary school.
Okay.
Like 4th grade, I believe. And like kids have vapes in elementary school.
Yeah.
And that blows my mind.
In class, you see all the time.
I didn't even have vapes until late high school. It was like, and vapes have kind of always been around. I remember people used to hit them. They weren't as accessible, and that's probably the problem nowadays. But like, I mean, I didn't think about much other than just like stupid kid stuff in middle school. I never like, I know some kids did smoked weed and stuff like that. Yeah. But for people to like carry nicotine at school, I never experienced that. In
class, you wouldn't think of that stuff. You're like, dude, you're gonna get expelled now.
Yeah.
It's like,
Dude, I say elementary school because I have a cousin who's in, this is all like anecdotal talk, but I'm sure a lot of people will resonate and realize it. And I think there's like people talk about it too. Like middle school, it's normal for kids to have like nicotine, but it's seriously like, and this is coming from my cousin who was telling me about it. He's in 8th grade. This is like a couple of years ago, he was in 8th grade, and he was telling me about it. He's like, yeah, actually 2 of my cousins told me about it, 2 different cousins. And that's nuts to me that elementary or middle schoolers are using vapes, which I can't wrap my head around that. But like to go a step beyond and saying like elementary schoolers are vaping, that's like, to me, that's almost, I would never believe that, you know?
I'm thinking Magic Treehouse books, like that kind of stuff.
Reading counts and stuff.
Right.
Do you remember that?
I'm thinking what's for lunch on Fridays. I'm not thinking like, oh, kids are actually doing that at that age. That's and
I can't even imagine a kid being able to. You don't smoke or anything, right?
No.
So I smoke cigars once in a while, and that stuff's hard on your throat. I can't imagine a little kid.
I wonder about that. I'm like, because I'll see it. A lot of guys, they'll do it for like, oh, I got promoted. Let's break out. You know, cigar. I see it as like a special occasion type things. So I never knew if it was like, if it had any effect on lungs, or if you did it frequently. If it was.
It's just like any other nicotine. I mean, I guess anything. I think smoking in general is just bad for your health.
Okay.
Like regardless of, I mean, I guess cigars aren't as bad if you don't inhale it into your lungs. But I think any of that stuff is like kind of
everything's bad for you in one way or another.
But like the whole idea of bringing in like smoke into your lungs, I just think is like, I don't know. I think anything into your lungs that's not other than oxygen is bad. But the problem with the vaping is that it's like consistent. So like with cigar, I can smoke a cigar, and I actually inhale the cigars. Not a lot of people do that. You're not supposed to.
Oh.
But I don't smoke a cigar. I smoke a cigar maybe once every it's been like maybe a month.
Like Canelo's fighting. Break out
or something like that.
Right.
But like with the vape, the problem with that is like people have it access all day, and they're just all day long. So it's like, it's almost like drinking water to some people. It's like, I work with some people that, you know, that they vape, and it's like, you know, and I've vaped before in the past. I've actually, when I was in college, I used to vape kind of frequently. And it's bad, man. It's like, it's so easily accessible, and that's a problem. It's like kind of like social media with your phone. It's like right there. Unlike a cigar or a cigarette, even though they're both, you know, cigarettes are bad. For a cigarette, you gotta like walk outside, like light it up. But with the vape, you could just hit it where we're
different
at.
Scents, all that.
Yeah, and you get accustomed to the taste, and it tastes good. And it's, especially for kids, man, that's like one of the things that like that just is nuts to me. You know,
like the worst I've had go through my lungs is like sitting too close to a fire. You get all the campfire stuff, or if I'm thinking elementary, middle school, I'm not thinking nicotine. I'm thinking like Smarties.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that's I remember doing that all the time. But people
that's
are like,
not real smoke.
Right. That's the thing. I'm like, I'd see people like, oh, if you grew up doing this, you're an addict now. So
he's not an addict.
Right. Yeah.
But that's funny. Yeah, I mean, just that's one of the things is like the societal pressures for kids is like, it's real tough, man. I think it's a lot tougher than it was when we were kids. Because like I didn't have social media when I mean I had like a Facebook maybe in like later middle school. I never had MySpace, and I definitely wasn't exposed to like, you know, big booties on Instagram when I was in 8th grade.
Maybe it was like you'd see. Trying to think of the fashion then. Maybe you'd see something. They're still wearing like tight jeans, but they're like a little baggier. Yeah. Now it's like.
Oh, now there's like straight up porn on Instagram.
Right.
You
like
know what
then
I mean?
you'd look at pornography as like, oh, girl in a bikini. Now it's like, no, you see that on.
Oh yeah.
No matter what page you're on. That's like.
Instagram, TikTok, and especially with TikTok and stuff. I don't really use TikTok. I try to grow a platform audience on there, but I kind of got like banned, so I stopped using it just because like I was like, oh, whatever. So I'm really only on Instagram and like maybe YouTube for like my personal social media scrolling or, you know, whatever, like when I spend time on social media. But I know that TikTok is like super addicting, and I know a lot of like kids especially are on TikTok. Yeah, and it's like. I think the way that they have their platform set up, it's just meant for people to continuously scroll. And I can't imagine, you know, a little, you know, 7th, 8th grader, first time looking at, you know, a girl in a bikini. Right, his whole feed is going to be, you know, girls in bikinis. Yeah. And
because they do that with the whole, oh, you looked at this, you must like that. You know? So now they're only exposed to seeing that.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, the you know, it was kind of like, for me at least, when I was growing up, like the first time, I don't remember the first time I saw a girl naked, but it was kind of like, oh my God, it's like a naked girl. But like, like we're talking about nowadays, it's just like there's the kids are desensitized to it because I mean, it's even starting to come on to like some celebrities and stuff like that are posting questionable stuff online that people can, you know, kids can look at and stuff. And that's what, you know, I don't know. Maybe I can ask you this question: like, if you had kids, or if you have kids, would you let them? Like, what age would you get them on social media?
I was just thinking that. I was like, oh, I could ask him this. That's part of what steers me away from it too, because I'm like, do you want to be that one parent who, say, their friends are like, hey, give me your phone. I'll give you my number. Yeah. Oh, my dad doesn't believe in me having a phone. So it's like, and then they get looked at as like the outcast, or like, which isn't a bad thing, but for something in middle school, they're gonna find whatever younger grades, they're gonna find whatever they can to mess with you. And so I always think about that. I'm like, if I don't give them a phone, is that gonna give them another target? Like, oh, you can't afford a phone, or stuff like that.
Definitely.
But that's always hit my mind as far as like I wouldn't want them to until a certain age. Yeah. But I wouldn't want them to get
bullied.
Yeah. It seems like a dumb thing to bully people about, but
no, I could definitely see that being a thing.
You know,
and that's the thing. I don't know where my future holds, or what my future holds for my children. God willingly, I have children. Yeah. But I think homeschooling has become really a really like popular idea in my brain, because we used to think that kids that are homeschooled were like weird. Right. Yeah. But honestly, dude, like kids that are homeschooled are like lucky nowadays. They're blessed, because I don't want to like I keeping the conversation just to like parenting and stuff like that, but like just to throw a quick side tangent, like teachers too. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've seen the TikToks of the crazy teachers online, and the Instagram
short
videos.
Pink hair.
Yeah, it's and they're not really even teachers at some point. They're more like activists. Mm-hmm. A lot of them that like gloat online. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I wouldn't. I have like certain political views and stuff, and I'm sure we kind of share some of the same values. But like, I really wouldn't want my son's teacher even like preaching like, wearing like MAGA or something to school, or so. Like, that's kind of weird to me too. Yeah. Even if it's on quote unquote my side, I don't think that politics should be in school. I don't think that we should teach kids about that stuff. And when I say kids, I mean like anyone under the age of like 16 or 17. I think around that age you can maybe start forming like political beliefs. But if you never like had a part-time job or anything like that, like you can't, in my opinion, if you don't contribute to society, you can't really have, you don't have a full form on like political beliefs, because you might not understand what it's like to like pay your first taxes.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did you start at a young age working or?
I think the youngest. I'll do like, of course, those small off the, what would you call that?
Off the books.
Off the grid, off the books type jobs. But I think my first job was at, I guess technically right out of high school. It was I was trying to join the military.
Okay.
And then after that, it was Publix. But yeah, small little working type jobs. Have a little watered down lemonade stand on the side, and But.
That's the thing. Like I tried to work my senior year of high school a little bit, and then actually I worked in my junior year summer, and then I worked a little bit senior year, and then I really started like fully having like a responsible, like I worked at the mall, and I like actually had like a scheduled job. I was kind of like you, like I did little one-off stuff and like shutters and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
But I really didn't like grasp my brain around like politics or like the way the economy really worked until like I actually got a job.
Like one of those jobs where your first paycheck, you're like, where's this big chunk that's missing?
Yeah, you're like, this is not that much.
Taxes, my friend.
Yeah. So what I was trying to say is like kids really have no business like being involved in politics until they're contributing members to society. I'm not saying they can't have an opinion. Obviously, they can have an opinion, but a lot of the teachers, they will like to force the opinion on kids. And honestly, like I think kids, even up to the age of like 13, 14, so like late middle school, I think they soak up a lot of stuff. If they're surrounded by like that type of stuff, I really think that like you can carry that for the rest of your life.
They're not paying attention to the details of the person they're sticking out, or they're paying attention to, oh, this guy sticks out more than this guy for some reason. Maybe it's how he talks or something like. They're not fully grasping what the differences between each person as far as like what their goals are, all that kind of important stuff.
And a lot of times, like, let's just say like parents, like I think I would be a chill parent, but I think I would also be like a parent that sets like some standard for my kids. And maybe like as a kid, they might not appreciate that.
Right.
They might be like, oh, my dad's so strict or whatever.
Right.
I'm sure we've said that sometimes about our parents.
Yeah.
But if they have like the cool, hip music teacher in 7th grade who's like offering them like, he's a cool guy, but he also's got like a little bit of a political, push behind what he's saying, they might be like, oh, I really like this guy. And then their whole life kind of forms around like, and I'm not trying to say that if someone has, if my kids have opposite political beliefs than I do, there's a problem. But I think there's like some values embedded into some of the stuff that these teachers are saying that for me would be a problem if my kids like inherited some of those,
because we have like a small percentage of what we hear the kid is hearing at school.
Oh yeah,
like they'll share like a fraction of it. We're not hearing like
the full.
Oh, she talked about this or that.
Yeah.
The teachers are going to say like, oh, but keep that in here. Let's not talk to your parents about that
until it's too late.
Until you start to see, oh, why is my kid talking like this?
Why does my kid have blue hair?
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, no, that's just something I wanted to talk about. Do you also feel like teachers potentially could have a big impact on a kid's life?
Oh yeah, and you'll see it in like high school or middle school. You'll see it growing up. Like maybe you'll go back to an old teacher you were really fond to, and which is good to have those relationships. But say like at that young age you were fond with this teacher, and say they did believe this way. Yeah, like you said, that may stick with them growing up, and they may not even know like why it did. Maybe it just with their sponge mind at that age, they just soaked it up for some reason. I don't know. It's my pastor. He says he's like they took God out of the school system, or they wanted to take God out, but they're letting all this political stuff in. He's like, for him, he's like that's why we're seeing so many problems nowadays. But that's our belief. You take God out of the school system, you have to deal with the
consequences,
the opposite of God. So it's like
that's fair. I mean, that's a pretty logical what's it called? Like observation to make. If you take God out of school, then you're gonna get the opposite. You're gonna get ungodly things.
And he's like, that's why you're seeing. I mean, I'm sure school shootings weren't as common then.
Yeah.
But he's like, people think, oh, that has nothing to do with it. But he's like,
that's a good point. What do you think about like video game stuff? You think that impacts the way kids like see life? Were you a big video game guy?
That's the thing. I was never.
Can you move this a little bit closer to you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
I was never big on video games. A lot of my friends were like they played the Call of Duties, all that. So I can't really speak on that. I never knew if it.
You never played any of the games?
Like I would play I'd go over to my buddy's house. We'd play Call of Duty. I was never good, so I tried to stay away from it. But as far as going. Like, if people are like, oh, he plays shooting games, that's going to mess up his mind. I don't know about that. It could. I have no idea. But I didn't play enough to be like, oh, this is really messing with,
Yeah, the way your head works.
I don't know. What do you think? Were you big on?
I played a little bit. I always thought it was like, there were some games, like, that just overdid the violence. And that always kind of like, I always felt inherently wrong when I would play those games. Like there was like a Call of Duty. Anyone watching this, they'll remember. There's a Call of Duty game. I think Modern Warfare.
Was that the zombie ones or no? That was a different one.
No,
Nazi zombies.
I think that was a different one.
Okay.
But Modern Warfare had an episode or like a mission where you basically went into like a airport and you just killed a bunch of people. Oh, you remember that? Have you heard of that? It's like one.
It was like actual CPU type people, or
no? It was part of like the it was part of the main campaign.
Oh, okay.
You were like an undercover or something like that. I'll show you after. But basically, you just go. It's a submission. You just go in there with a machine gun, and there's a bunch of civilians. You just go and kill a bunch of people.
Man,
that was
never knew about that.
That was always weird to me. Like I remember playing that as a kid, and I was like, kind of freaked me out. Especially games too, like Grand Theft Auto, where you go and you just kill random pedestrians. It always like whenever my friends would do that, I would always kind of feel a little weird inside.
Right, yeah.
Like.
You're like, I know it's just a game, but you're still killing.
Yeah. So I kind of, after like, I think middle school, like maybe 7th grade, I kind of shied away from like video games. Played a little bit of Fortnite when they came out, but I don't really play video games now. I think that my parents never really limited the video games I played either. So I think I'd probably let my kid run his course and just let him enjoy it. But I definitely would be weary of like the stuff that was, because
like seeing what he's bringing home, like, all right, you're good with that.
Or seeing how much time he spends on it and stuff, what habits he's picking up from these games, because that was probably the one thing that exposed me to, I would say, like adult or explicit content was like Grand Theft Auto, because you can go to like strip clubs and you can see like the girls like naked, and then I'm like, hey, what's this? At the age of like 12, and one thing leads to another, but that's just one of the things. I don't know. I think that with stuff like that, it would just have to be like, I'd have to see it out. I would hope my kids don't really like video games though.
Right.
Because there are some kids that like yourself, like I'm sure you say you didn't really enjoy it, right? You just kind of did it, your friends did it?
Yeah, it was one of those things where I'd play with my two brothers at the time, and they'd smoke me at whatever we played. So I fell away from it as far as like, all right, they're one of those, if they're winning, they're gonna mock me a bit.
Yeah.
So I tried to shy away from it for that reason, but no, like Grand Theft Auto, all that kind of stuff. I'd go over to like a cousin's house or a friend's house, and they'd be playing that, and I'm like, they show that in here? They're like, yeah, you can do anything. They're like, what's this? I'll kill that baby. But it's it's funny. They should do like a little survey with all the mass shooters.
Yeah, and see how many played.
What's your favorite video game there? Yeah. Oh, Call of Duty Airport map, definitely. No, but it's.
I think I would have to. Those kids probably played video games. I would be very shocked if like mass shooters didn't play like shooting games.
Right.
I'm not saying every shooter is going to be every person that plays a shooting game is going to be a mass shooter, but I would go to say that every mass shooter has at least dabbled in some of the shooting games before.
Yeah.
But
they're like, no, it's homeschooled. Grew up on the Bible. Completely off course.
I loved knitting and stuff. It was something.
I like gardening actually.
That's funny. So I guess my answer would be like, I would just be careful with what they're playing, but I don't think I would be one of those parents that'd be like, no video games.
Right.
But what do you think about, like, were you a really outdoorsy kid when you were growing up, or not really? Like playing outside and stuff, like tag and shit, manhunt or whatever the games kids used to play, sports.
Yeah, after school every day we'd go to like my buddy Josh's and Noah's house and
Josh Patat, right?
Yeah, Josh Patat. We'd have our main group of guys. We'd play a couple games of baseball, football, basketball, header. So we were always outside every day. So growing up with that, I saw the importance of it. Like I'm like, oh, I mean they're attached to video games, but I was like, I had a track phone at that time, so they only got me that to keep like in contact with my parents.
What's the track phone, like a one call type of thing?
Yeah, like prepaid.
Okay.
So when everyone else had like Blackberries and Razors at the time,
I think I had one of those too.
They gave a track phone or a Razor. Yeah, they gave me a track phone just to. They're like, you're
make sure you don't die.
Right. They're like 30 minutes just calling us.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's why I'm not like in tune with technology. Like I'm definitely not good with technology, but I was happy I was forced to kind of be outside most of the time. And growing up, I would tell my dad, like, he's like, my younger brother growing up in today's world, he's like, oh, could I get a tablet when he was younger? And I would tell my dad, I'm like, he's going to be on it all day. I'm like, you're going to see, he's going to just family trips. He's going to be on it all the time. And he's like, he'll be fine, Christian. I'm going to keep track of him. And
is he a tablet kid?
He's a tablet kid.
Really? Does he go out to dinner and eat with a tablet?
No, now he's a freshman now, but now he's like, he plays video games when he gets home, which isn't bad, but I hope he doesn't continue it over. He's looking to do wrestling again and football, but I don't want him to be like, because he was on that tablet a lot growing up. Yeah. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't want him to be inside all the time. Yeah. But he's found good common ground. He has friends. They play cul-de-sac sports with all the time. But in my mind, I always thought like, oh, if they're hooked on that tablet from a young age, they're gonna be hooked on video games. It's gonna keep them inside.
It's true. But, I think that like what my approach would be, like trying to find what my kids were halfway decent at, if not good at, in terms of like sports and like outdoors type of thing. Because sometimes kids don't get into sports because, in my opinion, this is just clearly like, or this is purely like my opinion and like I'm just speculating. Yeah. But I feel like
hold your rocks, hold your stones.
I feel like if a kid is bad at a sport, like they're not going to be interested in playing it or doing it. Or if they don't like a sport, like it's going to be hard to get them to do it. But I feel like everybody kind of has something that they like, kind of like to do that's active to some extent. Yeah. You know, whether even if it's not a sport, maybe some kid likes to fish a lot, like he likes to go fishing. Yeah. So finding that for my child and like being the leader that like says, "Hey, son, we're gonna go fishing today," and I find out my son really likes fishing. Right. And then there you go. Like that kind of solves the problem itself, because if your son really likes fishing, you introduce him to fishing. Now he's fishing all on his own, and he doesn't really worry about, you know, what's the next release of Fortnite skins or whatever. He's more worried about like being outdoors and stuff.
And then say he meets friends fishing.
Yeah, of course.
Those friends are like, hey, we're going dirt biking later. Yeah. Then maybe it picks up that. So.
There you go. And like some kids, it's sports. Like some kids, like they'll go, like my cousin, for example, he likes video games, and and I don't want to say he was a tablet kid, but he definitely was a technology kid. Yeah. And he loves soccer. He's good at soccer. And like now since he's good at it and he's done it so much, he like he's not a technology kid anymore. He'll play a little video games. Like we played the other day together just because I was at his house and I haven't seen him in a while, but like he's super dedicated to soccer.
Okay, good.
And I think that was like, I don't know if my aunt and uncle lucked out, but he's like focused on soccer because he's good. He's pretty good and he likes it. So now what do you think about, like, it's kind of shifting a little bit. It's kind of like a boy type of thing. What about a daughter? Like, how, if you have a daughter, like, are there any like things that you're like kind of, will you be worried about?
Oh yeah, that's probably because that thought always goes through my head. I'm like, I'm sure with most dads that's always there. Of course, most fathers would want a son. Yeah. I think the majority.
At least one.
Yeah, or they'd want
just sons.
the son first, and then maybe a younger daughter. But yeah, that's one of the things that pop up as far as like the pros and cons of having a kid. I'm like, if I have a daughter,
yeah,
I wouldn't know how to handle that because
I gotta try again.
I'm real big on no makeup.
Okay,
like we talked about before.
Yeah.
I believe it's not bad, but I'd rather women just go with their natural beauty, their God-given beauty. So having a daughter, it really depends on what my wife's viewpoint would be, as far as like if I'm like, no, I don't want her wearing makeup, and my wife say she's like, no, she can wear whatever she wants if she wants to dye her hair.
Are you willing to die on that hill? Is that like a hill that you want to die on, like the makeup thing?
Like if I just wouldn't want them to feel like they need it to go out or to, like, to go into school. If they wake up late, they're like, oh, I'm not going. I don't have time to put on makeup.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them to be stuck in that mindset.
I honestly think makeup makes women uglier.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to be like you said, hold the rocks.
Right, yeah.
But I honestly think that girls that start wearing makeup at a young age, and I'm talking purely bro science here.
Right.
I think there's like,
Yeah.
I think there's something inherently just wrong with putting chemicals on your face at a young age, and I think that fucks a lot of people's skin up. Yeah. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. Big makeup don't come after me, but I think that there's something, just like, I don't know what would be a comparable like comparison to boys, because boys don't really do that. But I think if you're like, let's just say, for example, and this might not be a great comparable, but let's say I start a kid young on caffeine. He's probably going to be addicted to caffeine for his whole life.
Oh, yeah.
His body's going to be used to getting that rush, and he's not going to be able to have any energy on his own. Maybe he'll be too energized. And I feel like when you put girls on makeup at a young age, one, psychologically, they're going to be dependent on it for their whole life.
Yeah.
Because if, some girls just think they look better with makeup on, and if you start them at like 12 or 11, they're going to feel like they always need it.
Right.
And I think that there's just things in makeup, in most popular makeup brands, that's just downright physically bad for your skin. And I think that over time, it probably is a little harmful towards, women.
Because, I mean, they say if you go to bed with it, it's bad for your skin. So, like you said, there's probably stuff in it that just...
I think having makeup on in general is just bad for your skin. Unless you're using something that's like purely natural, but I can't see like the best case scenario. I can only see makeup being like neutral for your skin. I can't see makeup being beneficial for your skin.
Right. Like they're not going to make some new powder that, it takes out your wrinkles permanently, so you don't need to wear it anymore. Like no magic thing's going to come out of it.
Exactly. I think that the worst thing, the best thing that'll come out from someone wearing makeup, like for their physical skin's health, because people don't realize like your skin is like a gland. It's like it's got its own processes in the body. It's just kind of like muscle in a way. Like, it has ways of repairing itself and fighting off like toxic things and stuff. And that's why people get pimples and stuff like that. I don't know much about skin, but I can't imagine that, like you said, I can't imagine there's an instance where wearing makeup will actually benefit you.
Right.
And I could be wrong. So if I'm wrong, correct me.
Yeah.
I know that there's like skincare routines out there and stuff. But
that's good. Skincare.
Yeah,
routine.
I'm
I've
sure
seen that a lot. Like they're like, no, I just put lotion on before bed, stuff like that. And I'll see friends that they have great skin. Yeah. And they don't wear makeup as often or not frequently, but
it's always the girls.
Their skin. Yeah.
It's always the girls that don't wear any makeup that have like nice skin.
Oh yeah.
So I think that, and that's like a probably going to be a little debate if you think about topics like, well, I don't have nice skin, that's why I wear makeup.
Right.
Or I don't have nice skin because I wear makeup. People will probably say like, the opposite. They'll say, well, because I was naturally given bad skin, and I know people genuinely have skin problems without wearing makeup, and that's a whole nother topic, maybe related to diet or whatever. But for me, I'm also with you. Like, I wouldn't want my daughter to wear makeup at a young age. I don't think that's like a hill I would die on. Like, I don't know if I'd like argue that to a divorce with my wife.
Right, yeah.
But, assuming that I marry somebody, let's just take my girlfriend right now, for instance, like we're both kind of on the same page, and she doesn't wear a lot of makeup, if any makeup. So I think would be good. And hopefully, knock on wood,
Yeah.
And most definitely, if I marry somebody, they're going to share my same values, so I don't think that'd be a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was talking to, or similar, Alicia Keys. She stopped wearing makeup, I believed, and she has flawless skin.
Okay.
And she's gorgeous without, she doesn't need anything. So that's really the thing I try to tell friends of mine. I'm like, I'm not against it. You can wear it all you want. I'm like, I'm not saying it's Satan himself in the, but I'm like, it's just most guys, I'd want them to feel that natural beauty that's like much more attractive. For me personally, I like seeing that. If I see that in public, I'm like, oh, she's actually, she has the confidence kind of going against like, oh no, I don't need to put stuff on my face to, but what's it called? I was thinking of making a company, a simple, small, like t-shirt company, hats, all that kind of stuff with promoting natural beauty.
Okay.
I won't say the name yet. I haven't copyrighted it, so I don't want someone to. But I was thinking of something like that, pretty much promoting natural beauty. And it was funny. I told my mom at one time, and my sister was next to her, and I was pretty much explaining what I meant about the whole thing. I'm like, I'm not against it. I'm just saying women would be better off without it. They don't need it. And my sister, she was like, yeah, I'm making a company too. And I was like, what is it? She's like, she got kind of nervous. She said, makeup. So I was like,
it's funny.
She's like, I'm kind of your competition. And I'm like, no, I'm just.
That might be a really good. I think you asked me. Did you talk to me about that one time or no?
Yeah, I think so, because I threw it out with a couple friends that are girls that I knew, and I'm
you gotta try to pursue that, man. That's a pretty good.
Well, gig. They were kind of like. I asked some girls I knew, and my sisters. I was like, "What's the way to approach this?" Because I was like, I talked to a friend recently, and I was like, "No, I'm not for makeup. Like you." I was talking to her. I'm like, "You personally, you don't need it." So I'm like, "I'm just letting you know ahead of time." And she was like, she got kind of offended by it. She's like, "Well, I'm wearing it because I want to wear it. Same reason a guy would." Do this or that because he wants to.
That's not true. I don't think that's true because if girls wanted to wear makeup, they would wear it to go to sleep.
Right, yeah. So that's why I was like, that's why I wanted different girls' perspectives as far as like, how do I go about explaining?
Yeah,
I'm not saying, oh, you're weak-minded if you wear makeup. I'm not saying that. Like, I'm not saying, oh, if I wear makeup, you're saying I'm not confident in myself. Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm just saying.
But if you think about it, like, imagine just for a second, like, if we put like some type of cream on our arms and it made our arms look more ripped,
right.
People would probably think we're like freaks, like weirdos. We would be like, let's just say me and you, we came out with some cream that you can put on your arms and it'd make your biceps look like they were like, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I'm bathing that in my calves. I'm bathing in that.
But like, people would think that we're a little off. They'll be like, Christian and Matt, they put this weird cream on their arms and it makes their arms look good, but then they take it off and they don't have biceps. It's kind of the same thing with makeup.
Yeah, same concept, yeah.
It's not your real... And it's sad that society has pressured women to like accepting makeup as like the standard of beauty. Because like you said, I think a lot of girls look really good without makeup.
And it's sad to like, that's an insult if you say that to them. Like, oh, you look. It's so weird in my mind. Like, no, I'm saying that as like the nicest thing possible. Like, you don't need to buy all this stuff. I'm like, God's given you natural beauty that you don't need to put all this stuff.
I think a lot of girls that wear makeup, and this is my opinion. So again, I like your thing. Don't throw rocks at me and stuff. But I think a lot of girls that wear makeup, their peak beauty is without makeup, and when they put makeup on, they just get uglier.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
I hate seeing that. I'm like,
and sometimes, and my girlfriend's like that too. I mean, I love her; she's great, but she even knows that. I tell her that if she ever gets prepared for like an event, like for me, she looks the best without makeup on. So like you can't get better than that,
right?
So it's only gonna like be worse
if you put something on. You're trying to, or not like, I like you without it. So if you put something on, it's like.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna
trying to get on my bed. Like, do you not want to look good for me?
I'm not gonna die on that hill.
Right.
But I'm just gonna put my opinions out there and say like I would say like more than often than not, I think girls look better without any makeup on. There's probably some cases that girls look better with makeup on. But I'd be prepared to say like I would prefer my girlfriend or wife or whatever not to wear makeup, and my daughter the same way. And I would want to raise them in a way that they feel empowered and like strong to not have to wear it, like you said, because it's not as an insult, but more like it's a compliment.
Right. That's I don't know. It baffles me how that could be an insult to some. Like, oh, you look so good without makeup. Like, I don't need your approval.
Yeah.
I don't know. I threw out. I told a couple of my sisters once. I was like, my plan for who I marry, I'd want on our wedding day, us to. I'd like to get dressed up after the ceremony, but I was like, for the ceremony, I want us to just dress up as if we just woke up out of bed. So like most people, they put all this money into the dress, the hair, but what would you call it? The reason behind me wanting to dress up as if we both woke up out of bed is to show her that I'm not marrying you because you put all this stuff on, you look this way on our wedding day. I'm like, I want it to be like, no, as you wake up, I love you as you wake up, not you have to put all this stuff on your, do your hair all fancy, all that kind of stuff. But I told my sisters that. They're like, good luck with that. They're like, you're going to be single all your life if you think your wife's not going to want,
You never know, man.
But
you never know. I mean, there's some girls out there. My girlfriend's one of those girls that likes to take care of herself. But thankfully, she's never been obsessed with like putting on like, I don't know. I don't even know what you call it. But like some of the makeup that girls put on, they like contour their face and they just don't look like the same person.
Yeah. I just saw a video like that. Yeah. Completely. It was a guy who did it. He had,
oh my God.
Blew my mind. I'm like, that's, I don't know. If you like doing that on your hobby, is like, that's good. But it's like, I don't know, just tricking people sometimes.
Let me ask you this. What about like having a girl and like having her date guys?
Like just the idea of like a daughter dating, or
would you be like one of those overprotective dads, you think?
I'd more of, I wouldn't, I don't know. It's, I know how, I mean, being a guy, you know how some or most guys are, or how they kind of think. I guess it depends on your friends group. If you hang out with good guys, you know their mindsets. You know how to distinct, oh, these guys think a certain way about women. These guys in my friends group, they, I know a majority of them respect and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Seeing the youth now, the teenagers and all that, I'm like, I know where most of their heads are at. So I'd be worried about like, oh, I know how they think nowadays. Like they're just, it's sad to think about, but side chicks, that's such a common thing.
Yeah.
Cheating so normalized nowadays to where it's like, you hear about someone cheating, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Like to most people, they're like, oh, so-and-so cheated last week. So I'm always thinking about that. I'm like, I don't want my daughter to have to go through all that.
So what would be the age that you like allow her to like date?
Oh, that's tough. Probably. Well, that's the thing. I'd always hear people make the argument of, oh, if you're real strict on your kids, that's going to make them more sneaky. So that's kind of made me on the fence about it too. I'm like, do I tell her a certain age she can't have boyfriends, and then her friends are pressuring her like, oh, we're going to this party, just don't let your dad. Like I have younger sisters. I'd hear all their like
gossip,
or like if they're going out late, they'd tell my dad like, oh, I'm going to going to Blair's house, and in my mind, I know they're not just. It's just her and Blair hanging out in her room. So when they would say stuff to my dad, I'm like, I know what they actually mean. They're going to, if they mention the guy's name, my dad's going to be like, have I met this guy? So.
Is your dad overprotective type of dad?
He is. He's military background.
Okay.
So he's like, and he tells my sister this all the time. He's like, you guys have natural beauty at its finest. He's like, he knows how guys are and how guys would probably want to interact with them. And so I look at all those scenarios with my sisters, and I'm like, I don't want that for my daughter. I don't want them to think they have to lie to me. Yeah. As far as like, oh no, I'm just hanging out with Sarah, and then Camaro pulls up with loud, trap music pulling up. But I don't know. That's why I'm so on the fence about it.
Yeah. I feel like I wouldn't be disappointed if I got only daughters.
Yeah.
That would be a little bit sad.
Right.
I would like to have a son just so I could bond with him and do things like father-son thing.
Right.
Hopefully. But
there's an old expression about that. They're like, oh, if God gave you all daughters, he's saying like you have enough testosterone in your family, enough, like saying you have enough of a man in you, to where like God's like, oh no, you're good, you're a man enough to raise all daughters. I've heard something like that.
I've heard it was
like funny. The Rock, he has all daughters.
Really?
And he's like pinnacle of what a man society says man.
Side note, but I heard like, this is just a joke, but I heard certain positions in the bedroom can predict if you're having a son or a daughter. Oh, yeah. I don't know if that's true or not, but I had someone said that one day, so I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind to make sure that.
Now I'm thinking of like, what are those? What are those?
I don't remember exactly what they said. I think there's like if I'm not mistaken, like if you hit it from the back, you're gonna have a son. Any other position is like, it's something to do. I think I heard it on, I was fishing with a couple guys, and it was kind of like there were older dudes who were talking.
Barbershop talk.
Yeah, that type of talk. But I'm definitely going to think about that. But I feel like the more you think about it, the less, like, I don't know, I'm weird like that. I feel like if I think I'm going to have daughters, I'm going to have daughters, I'm going to have daughters.
Oh, okay.
Then I'm going to, if
like
I'm worried about,
type thing,
if I'm worried about like, man, I'm not going to have a son. Like if I have I feel like if my first kid's a daughter, it's going to fuck with my head, and I'm going to have, because my grandpa had 3 girls, and not that I don't want a daughter.
Right.
I just would like a son.
Right.
I'm going to feel relieved when I have like my first son, if I have, God willingly, my first kid's my son.
Because I got it out of the way. Now I could have a daughter, no problem, but I got the son out of the way.
But going back to the daughter thing, I don't think I'd be overprotective as some people might think that I would be, like, since I'm kind of like red pilled and kind of like the conservative type of guy. I don't think I'd be overprotective. I don't think I'd be like the type of dad to show up with a shotgun when the boyfriend, you know what I mean, to scare him off. I think I would just, and again, I'm not a parent, so I don't know. Looking back at this, when I'm a parent, maybe I'll laugh at myself. But I feel like I would set some boundaries and standards, and if my daughter decided to go against my standards and boundaries, and after I instilled the confidence and the lessons in her, I would, instead of getting mad at her, I would just be more disappointed, maybe in myself for not portraying her value enough, and then just disappointed in her in general. I don't think I would ever be mad.
Right.
I'd never be like one of these dads that, because I found some guy in my daughter's bed, when she was 16.
Her type. Yeah.
I mean, I would probably be, like I said, more disappointed.
Right.
But I would never like go and beat the guy up unless he was like doing something wrong with my daughter.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah. If you caught him mid, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd ever be that dad that, like, when I was in high school, thankfully I never, I had a couple girls that I would talk to and had a girlfriend in high school. I never had to deal with a crazy dad. My girlfriend now, we're older, so her dad's cool. But I never had to deal with like overprotective parents with girls. But I've heard stories of like some girls' parents, like girls, like you said, sneaking out because their parents won't let them stay out past 8 o'clock.
Right.
I don't think I'd be that type of parent, to be honest.
And if they lied about it, then you're kind of forced into that because the parents are going to think.
Yeah.
Like if she lied to where she was going and then they found out and you were the guy she was with, they're going to think, oh, he's talked her into it, or he's like, so I don't know. It's, that's why I'd love kids. I would love kids. Because I have 4 other sisters and then 3 brothers, so I've always had those siblings. Yeah. And growing up, it's everyone fights and all that, and but as we got older, now we're like, we laugh about, oh, remember that time you punched me? We laugh about all that stuff. But so I'd love for my son or daughter to have those connections, but I'm just thinking about all what we see on social media, the OnlyFans, the bikini pics, their friends smoking in school, and then now they think they have to do it, and that's why me personally, I'm on the fence about it. I'd be worried about all that stuff and how to raise them. I don't feel I'm in a position mentally to be able to raise them.
Yeah.
I feel I could instinct like the basics, say please and thank you. Don't be one of those people who yell something from a moving car, those kind of weak-minded, like say something from a distance. Yeah. I teach them not to do any of that stuff, but I don't know. It's just me personally, I'd be worried about it. Other people, they probably have better I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we're both like at a relatively, I don't want to say we're young because we're adults obviously, but we're at a point where we're not quite at that age to where having a child is like, I mean, I don't want to have a kid for I would say at least 6 years. And I'm just giving a number just to quantify it, but I don't know if that's going to be true. Maybe longer, maybe shorter. Definitely not in the state of mind to have a kid now. Financially not there. Like, I don't want to be one of these parents that like, I would want to have a good financial structure before I got a kid in the world.
Right.
I don't want to have like a kid and be like worried about how I'm going to feed him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd rather set myself up and then have some wiggle room.
Good foundation set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, like, depending on how many kids you have, it could be very costly, not only money-wise, but also attention-wise.
Oh, yeah.
You have, what, 7 or 8 in your family?
Yeah, 8 total, yeah.
8 total? So
yeah,
your parents probably, it drained them probably a lot.
Yeah, it was, I mean, they're divorced now, not saying that's the reason why, but it's, what's it called? It was very costly for them. And then now they love it. They love having a big family.
Because everyone's older now.
Yeah. So every meetup, I mean, we love it. But, yeah, definitely growing up, it was definitely, they didn't have that one-on-one with each kid. We all just kind of...
got fractions.
Yeah, like, they never did, like, all right, today's your Saturday, we're going to go, just me and you.
Yeah.
So I've always wondered with people with families with, like, only siblings.
Yeah.
Or one person, I'm like, how's that work? Like, does your parents, like, do they take you out one-on-one places?
Yeah.
Or how's all that work? But our family's real strong bonded. But I've always wondered for smaller families how that worked. Like with you and your sister, would you say your parents had like set a good amount of time with you?
Yeah,
guys?
we definitely had I wouldn't say we had, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I think different stages was different.
Yeah.
I obviously can't remember like before the age of like 7. So I remember doing a lot of stuff as a family. Getting older, I would say that me and my dad kind of spun off and did our thing. My mom and my sister kind of spun off and did their thing. But I would also spend time with my mom and my dad, like separately or together. So yeah, the tension's definitely there. And I think that's why I was going to get into like, I don't think I could ever do 8. God bless your parents for doing 8 kids.
Yeah.
But I think my max would be like 4.
4.
I think 4 is like to where I'm like, all right, this is good.
Right.
I think 5 is a little bit too much. And I think anything over 6 is like that's just nuts for me.
Yeah.
I would have to like have my parents live with me and like they would have to raise some of the kids. And I salute people that do that. I mean, that's the way that God, I believe, intended us to live, is to have like big families and like, have a wife and really focus on that. Like that's, at the end of the day, that's like really our only main reason to be on the planet is to like kind of reproduce. As animals, like they go and hunt and eat and stuff like that. But the main reason that animals live is to have babies and then they die. Yeah. So that's why I feel like I'm obligated to kind of have children. But I think a good sweet spot for me would be like 3 or 4.
3, yeah.
That way I can.
Do you have a ratio like 2 boys, 1 girl?
Ideally, it'd be 3. It'd be two boys and 1 girl.
1 girl. Girl being the youngest, or just any
girl being the youngest, 100%. Ideally, the best would be 2 twin boys and 1 girl, younger girl.
Oh yeah.
That way the twin boys can like have brotherhood together,
Right.
or like a son and have a son right away, so they're not too far in age. And then the daughter can just be my wife's like best friend.
Right. Yeah. Dress her up, do it. Yeah.
I wouldn't
kind of relationship.
I wouldn't be opposed to having like two older boys and 2 younger girls though. I feel like that'd be kind of cool. Like kind of have like
kind of gives each one their own little. Unless they just grow up fighting each other all the time.
Yeah. You know, that's the thing. And you can never really guess. You can't like you can try to structure it as best you can. You can try to be the best parent you can, but you never really know like what's gonna turn out your kids. You know, there's things that just by the nature of God might happen, and you just gotta be thankful for what you got, type of deal. You know.
Now I don't know if we have time for this, but what kind of discipline would you enforce on your kids? Would you go old school belt or paddle, or are you more of like tone?
Were you old school belt or paddle? Like were you hit as a kid?
Yeah.
Like truly belt and paddle.
We prayed for the belt.
Oh really?
We got the paddle. Okay. My dad made a wooden paddle and wood shop in high school,
and he kept it.
Wow. And they had my 2 oldest sisters when they were young, and so that wooden paddle was like. That was, we always joked, like, there's, like, dried up blood and, just the amount of times they'd use it on us. But, the paddle was the main thing. It was never like, oh, you're grounded. They're like, no, I'm going to whoop you real quick in my closet. You're going to cry there. And then after you're done, you're going to, go fix whatever you got spanked for. But we always hid the paddle so we would get the belt. So it was like, but whenever we did that, we would get twice or triple the amount with the belt because it didn't hurt as much.
Yeah.
So if we were, say we fought while they were at work, it would be like 20 paddles.
Okay.
But if we hid the paddle, they'd ask us, they're like, who did it? And then if no one came clean, they're like, all you are going to get spanked. And then if they had to use a belt, it would be pushed up to like 30, 35, just so you get that.
Was it like full swinging or was it like kind of like half swing?
It depends. Like we always wanted our dad, you think, oh, he's in the military, he's going to hit you harder. But he took it easier on us. Yeah. He had a softer side. Our mom was...
she was a wild one.
She was the one where they're like... We joke about it now. We're like, how we would be like, can dad spank us? If my mom would be scheduled to spank us. And
I also got hit. I never, it was never, my dad would get mad. Yeah. But he can never, like, I don't think he could ever pull the trigger.
Would that irritate you, just saying she wasn't spanked or disciplined the same? Or
I think no.
Yeah.
I don't think I really saw it that way. Because, I don't know, something inherently, like, weird about, like, seeing your dad, like go ham on your sister. I'm sure your dad kind of went soft on your sisters, or maybe not.
Rarely. That's what irritated us.
So he went soft on your sisters, or he went.
No, he never spanked my sisters.
Okay, yeah,
my mom was kind of that.
Yes. That's what I mean. Like I would find it weird if my dad was like just hit my sister the same way he hit me, because they're girls and stuff.
Right, yeah.
But no, my dad never scheduled beatings. But it would just it would kind of happen on the spot. I never.
I have you for 3 o'clock today.
I was never like. It was never like let's say I misbehaved out in public. It was never like you're gonna go home and get the belt.
Oh yeah.
Or you're gonna go home and get the paddle. It was kind of like when we got home, he would think about it and he'd get pissed and then he would talk to me, and sometimes I would like talk back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then like when I hit the talk back, that's when I would just like, it would just be spontaneous, and it was always like hands. My dad. Think like I never got beat to where I was like severely injured. My dad talks about like in Vietnam, like his mom used to have like no mercy sometimes, and he would like slip books into his pants so she would hit the books and shit.
It's funny, everyone picks up the same.
That's so funny. You did that too?
Different materials, but the same concept.
We got 12 minutes left on this.
I never had the guts to do that. My brothers would do that with. We joke about that now. They used rolled up socks, multiple pairs of underwear.
Oh my god!
I got spanked so much to where
it didn't hurt anymore.
Well, I was so worried because I'm like, they're just gonna spank me if they had a bad day. I'm like, I don't want to triple my amount even more. So my brothers got away with that kind of stuff. I was like, if they catch me, I'm gonna bleed this time. But it's funny. Books, wow.
My dad was more, like I say, he was more spontaneous. My mom hit me a couple times, but she was more just like in the heat of the moment. She was just pissed. But there was some times where my dad would he would get really, really angry. Yeah. He always kept it cool, and I would tell that he was mad, and he would keep his cool, but it was like knowing that he was stronger and bigger, just kind of scared. That was also another thing, the anticipation of like not knowing. Yeah. You know, if you said your parents would tell you when you got the spank, they would be like, you're gonna get spanked later type of thing.
Yeah, they're like, sit in my room when I come home. Oh, okay. You're marinating in that. But they never let you know. They would just
like baseball games. Like, let's say for example, like if I would talk back or say something about, let's say I did bad at a game or something, and like my dad would be telling me a lesson, and I would talk back, and then something would maybe trigger him or something. Oh, okay. And then the bickering back and forth between me and him, and sometimes he would just be like, all right, it's enough, and I would get a smack to the head or. Oh yeah. But I mean, sometimes, dude, I was a kid, but sometimes he needed to pull back a little bit sometimes. Yeah. A couple of times, like a fishing rod, like we'd be fishing together. I remember one time getting slapped across the chest with the fishing rod. I think honestly, like as funny as it is, and I think it helps. I think that our generation is probably gonna be one of the last ones that got hit. I can't see like kids our age, or like even millennials, kids. Are you millennial?
I never knew the cutoff point between Gen X. I don't know what
people in their 30s now. 30s and 40s, just from my personal experience, or maybe early 40s. I don't know anyone that I would see that would hit their kids. Right. Like I feel like it's just like a generational thing that I think I'm going to hit my kids. I don't know if I'm not going to do it the way your parents did it. It'd probably be more like, I guess kind of how my dad did it, kind of like spontaneous. Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely not going to be the type to be like, no phone for 2 weeks. Right. It's like, if you disrespect me, especially if it's my sons. Yeah, you're going to.
They're like, oh, no phone. We'll be after a while. They're gonna.
It's got to be. You got to. I think you got to show a little physical dominance because unless you're really good at sticking to your word, and most of us, let's just be honest, most of us get like, we're gonna say, okay, you're gonna be grounded, but then we caught up in work and like other stuff, and
they feel bad because you're putting on a pouty face all day.
Exactly. So if you get the little quick slap in or whatever, they feel the discipline, and then they don't have to. I'll still ground my. If my kids are doing something wrong with their phones or whatever, like I would still punish them by taking it away. But I think there's going to be some physical, punishment involved. What about you?
Yeah, it's that's what always put me on the fence too. Because I'm like,
you don't want to hit your kids.
I grew up with that, so I'm thinking, oh, that's the only way to make sure they don't do this or that. But I'm like, if they're gonna make you mad at some point, and I'm like, I don't know what I'd want to do, because say I do try that route of give them a stern look, or like give them that in the grocery store voice, like, don't do this, or you're trying to be forceful but quietly, and I'm like, what if they talk back where I'm at that stage?
I would probably smack them in the face.
I'm like, would I hit them? And then say I hit them, they start crying louder. They're like, they start mouthing off even more. I'm like, you're only going to want to do more to make them stop. So I'm like, if a simple slap doesn't work, I'm like, and they keep mouthing off, I'm like, I don't want to be able to, like, oh, one slap didn't work. Maybe I close my hand a little more. I don't know how I'd be in those situations. So I just felt it was best. I'm like, I probably shouldn't have kids. I wouldn't know how to raise them like my parents did.
I think maybe your opinions will change over time. Yeah. Again, that's all a personal thing. But yeah, I think to close that part out, I think physical with some verbal disciplinary actions. I also think the fact that like I'm gonna continue working out for the rest of my life. Physical like look. Right. I think that might scare kids a little bit. Right. You know what I mean? Especially if they're younger and they're like, oh my God, dad's got. I'm like, dad works out. You too. Like, they see a little, striation in the arm or something. They're like, that it kind of signifies like strength.
Right.
My dad really wasn't. My dad never really worked out super hard. He always had kind of like a frame, so that was kind of like intimidating about him. He kind of had like big forearms and stuff. But I mean, if a kid sees it, their dad's got some muscle on them, it might make them a little bit more scared.
Right.
And you might not have to be as physical. You might just be more daunting just by your appearance. So
give them a quick little flex.
Yeah, flex.
Like, yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, that's pretty much it for that part. Anything else you want to hit on before we cut out? I didn't realize there's only a couple more minutes left on this thing on this card for the audio, but I mean, pretty much hit on a lot of things, right? Pretty good podcast. Honestly, one of the more productive ones. I haven't really thought about some of those things and actually spoke them before. Yeah, and it's crazy because if you want to have kids, these are all things that are going to carry with you, and I hate to say it, but kind of like the way you implement your parenting is probably going to have a big impact on the way your kids turn out. So it's kind of, I mean, I'm saying this lightly, but it's kind of important and sarcastically. Yeah. Obviously, it's very important. Yeah. So like a lot of people have children and don't necessarily have a plan, and that's kind of responsible of you saying like, hey, I don't know if I want to have kids because I don't know if I could.
I'm not. Definitely not ready, but financially or just knowing how to raise them.
Yeah, but some people just have kids and they wing it. Right. And that's not a good thing. Right. It could turn out well, but you should definitely have a plan in mind before. And I think that's something that I've thought about, just doing this discussion with you is like, before I have kids, I need to write out like maybe like a playbook. Yeah. Because there's a lot of, I mean, other than the fact that we me, you, and everyone else in this world has like other shit going on, like another whole list of things you got to remember. Right. And if you stay consistent with like the way you parent, I feel like that's better. Like going to the gym. Like if you're kind of inconsistent, then it's kind of like we were talking about like, oh yeah, dad says he's going to take my phone away this time, but is he really going to take it away?
Whoa, change the record.
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't know if we have time. What's the one time you were disciplined that stuck out the most to you as far as like
the fishing rod thing I was telling you about? Fishing rod. Yeah, I was fishing with my dad one time and I said something back, something about him losing a fish, and he got pissed, and he hit the fishing rod, and I like kind of backed up, but like the tip kind of like scraped the chest. Oh yeah, I got a little scar on there. But oh man, no, I would love to keep going for as long, but we got 4 minutes left, so we can kind of wrap it up. Any final thoughts you want to hit on? I don't want to take the last word. What about you? What's if you could wrap it up real quickly? What's the most memorable beating you got, or is it all pretty standard?
Oh, man. No, I got some that stick out, but I guess one, I guess I did something. I was fighting with my brothers while my parents were at work, and my oldest sister kept notepads of what we all did.
She was like the little
the little recess kid snitch. But so my parents would, they'd call us and be like, "Wait in my room when you get." And at that time, I was showering at night, and my mom came home. And I guess that was still fresh in her mind what I did. And she opened her door. I was using her shower. She opened the bathroom door, told me to come out. And she just started, with the wooden paddle, she just started whacking me. And she told me to put a towel on first. Yeah. But of course, I'm trying to block the paddle, so my towel fell off. So I just got bare cheek with the wooden paddle. Oh, man. And my mom, she was one of those, like, she blacks out when she hits. So her hits were like, so it's like no consistency. But
yeah, when I got hit by the fishing rod, I didn't have a shirt on either, so that kind of hurt.
Yeah, bears.
Yeah, I think that when that happened, I don't think he was meaning to hit me. It's kind of like get out of my way. Yeah. But it like nicked, and there was like a visible scar. I don't have it anymore, but at the time it was like I remember that's like one of the most. I remember the time I think my dad punched the wall. And that scared the shit out of me. He like punched a hole. I think we still have it in the house. Yeah. And that was one of those things like that was one of those like instilling fear type of thing. Right. Yeah. But
I'll do it.
Yeah, man. It's been a good podcast, bro. It's been fun catching up with you and having a good discussion. Hope to do it again soon. But
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Christian, thanks for coming on, bro. And hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Buff Talk. We'll check you guys out on the next one. Peace.
Hey guys, thank you guys for checking out this video. Make sure to go check out all of our other podcasts. Buffalo barbecues, our buffalo workouts, and also a slew of other things, including challenges and whatnot. So make sure to check out all of these different things. Thank you guys for watching. I am Old School Matt here, and this is Water Buffalo TM. Peace.